Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial on One Stop Academy with Allison. First of all, before we start, we'd like to say a big thank you to our subscribers and viewers for your patience so far. We know that we haven't really given any content since the pandemic struck, but we'd like to say that we are back and we're back fully and stronger. Today's tutorial is on using Microsoft Excel. This is going to be the first part, as we know that most of these applications have really wide applications, and it would be a very long video if we try to explain everything, all its functionalities in one video. So we've divided it into parts, and this is for your convenience. We're going to start this tutorial with the basic introduction of what Microsoft Excel is all about. Feel free to skip this introductory part to the main part of the video if you have already an idea of what the Microsoft Excel does and what its outline looks like. Microsoft Excel is a spreadsheet program, and a spreadsheet program is one that is able to manipulate number and string data in rows and columns. And Microsoft Excel has a number of advantages which we can find with other spreadsheet programs, including that it enables you to perform simple row and column arithmetic. So this is the main advantage, but it has so many other advantages. Moving to the screen layout, which is what we're looking at right now. A Microsoft Excel screen layout have some components. The first component is the rows. The rows are referenced by the numbers. If you look over here, if you look vertically down, you see numbers from 1 to 22. Now there are other numbers down. If you scroll on the right side of your screen, try to scroll down, you see other rows popping up. So an Excel screen is also made up of columns. You can find the columns if you look from the left to the right. You can see these alphabets A, B, C, D. So Excel columns are referenced by the alphabets A to Z, and then when it gets to Z, it starts a new way of naming the columns. You can see A, B, A, C. When it ends that, it starts with B, A, B, 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 C, and so on. So basically it's A to Z, and with its other variants. Another component of an Excel screen is the cell. If you look at the highlighted or selected parts of this screen, there is a cell. A cell is an intersection of a row and a column. So where row 1 meets column A is a cell. Cells can contain various types of data. A cell is referenced by the name of the column and row. So since this cell was formed by row 1 and column A, it's now referred to as cell A1. So the column before the row, then the alphabet before the number, cell A1. If you are referring to this cell here, the selected cell here, then you're referring to cell J10. If it's this, then it's cell M16, and so on and so forth. An Excel screen is also composed of a worksheet. A worksheet contains rows and columns and their intersections from the cell. So basically what we're looking at right now is an Excel sheet. Just like in Microsoft Word, where you have the white space where you can type in, that is the document body. So for Excel, for Microsoft Excel, this is the Excel sheet where you can carry out your calculations, your row and column calculations. That's your Excel worksheet. An Excel worksheet can hold more than 60,000 rows and 256 columns. Another component of an Excel screen layout is the workbook. So this whole document, which will be saved in memory, is the Excel workbook. So how it goes is that a workbook is made up of worksheets, and we are currently on sheet 1. You can decide to open up another sheet here where you see new sheet. If you click on it, you have another sheet. You can have as many sheets as you like, and then these sheets will all be in one workbook. So for now, our workbook has been saved with book 1. We can always make changes to a name that is suitable. So another name for a workbook is an Excel file, which is what is saved in memory. Another component of an Excel screen layout is a formula bar. So a formula bar contains tools for creating and editing formulas. The selected or highlighted part of the screen is the formula bar. If you input any formulas into any cell, you'll find it appearing on the formula bar. For example, if I decide to type DOG, you can notice that it's also appearing in the formula bar. Another component is the name box. So a name box displays the name of the selected cell and a range of cells. Right here is the name box. Since we are on cell D5, the name box is carrying D5 because we are on cell D5. If we make a particular selection, because in Excel, when working on the worksheet, you can make a selection of cells to use the content of those cells to make a particular calculation. So if you make a cell selection, you can find that cell selection in the name box. So like I said earlier, you can switch from one particular worksheet to another worksheet. So that area where you do the switching is called the sheet tab. So this is the sheet tab. This part of an Excel screen layout is the ribbon, and ribbon is made up of tabs. You can see the file tab, the home tab, insert tab, page layout tab, and the rest. And these different tabs are made up of groups. They're divided into groups. So the home tab has the clipboard group, the fonts group, the alignment group, the number group, and so on and so forth. Likewise, the insert tab, the page layout tab, the formula tab, and it goes on and on like that. Then of course there is the quick access toolbar, which is a customizable toolbar that contains commands that you may want to use more often. So moving on to working with the workbook. Basically, to create a workbook, you do that through the file tab. That is after opening the Excel application. Through the file tab, click on new, and then you choose a blank workbook. But then we've already done that step, so we can move on to how to save a workbook. Like I mentioned earlier, the default name of this workbook that has been given to read by our system is the book 1, but we want to change this name to something more suitable. So you can also do that through the file tab, and you locate the save as. You can do the save or save as because this is the first time we're going to be saving this work. So save as, be saving it in your computer systems. So let's save it on desktop. So basically you just choose a location. Let's save this with first workbook and then click on save. So if you look up, it has changed from book 1 to first workbook. So moving on to entering data in a worksheet. So there are different ways to enter data in Excel. You can enter data in an active cell or in the formula bar. Like I told you, whatever is the content of a cell would be seen in the formula bar. So you can choose to just enter text like this is first cell. You can see it concurrently appearing in the cell A1, which is where we want the text in. So that is one way to do it. Or you can just enter the text directly into the cell by double clicking into the cell and then typing whatever you want to type, and then it will still appear on or in the formula bar. But note that to use the first method, which is entering it in the formula bar, you have to have first selected the cell you want it in. So if you want the text in cell G7, for example, you would have to have clicked on G7 and then move to the formula bar to type. That's how it works. Likewise, editing the text in the cell, you can use any of the two methods, either through the formula bar or directly on the cell. Okay, so moving on to selecting cells. So if you want to select a single row or column, you just have to click on the row or column header. So let's say you want to select column A. When this black highlighted arrow comes up, you just click and then the whole column is selected. Likewise, if you want to select a column, just click and the whole row is selected. Beg your pardon. Also, you can choose to want to do a selection of adjacent rows or columns. So to do that, let's say we want to select column C through H. So you just make the first selections and drag to where you want to stop, so C to H, and then we've done that selection. You may want to also make a selection of non-adjacent rows or columns. So for example, we want to select row 3 and then skip some rows and select row 8. So just hold down the control button after making the first selection, and then you can make the other selections. These are non-adjacent rows and columns. You can also do that this way. Hold your control, click, done the selection. There are other ways to also select a single column or a single row. So if you want to select column F without having to use the black arrow to select, you can hold down the control and the spacebar. It will select the whole column. If you want to select row 10 without using the black arrow, so wherever you put your make sure the selected cell is on that particular row that you want to select, and then hold down the shift button and the spacebar. It selects that particular row. Moving on to manipulating data in Microsoft Excel. For us to do this, we need to input some data into our worksheet and also introduce a title for the imputed data. Okay, so moving on to manipulating data in Microsoft Excel, a set of data has been generated for us to use to demonstrate how to do some manipulations. Now this is a set of students' data with their names, their admission status, whether full-time or part-time, and their scores. Notice that this data has no title yet, so I'm going to use the titles to demonstrate how to input data into the cells. So since this is the names, just use name. Then this is status. This is the first CA, so let's just call it CA1, and CA1 is 20 marks, so put 20 in brackets. This is CA2, and this is the exam, so making everything 100, so this is the total. We have now the headers for each column. There's something else which looks odd. If you look under the name column, you can see that some names have been cut, and this is because the width of this column is not wide enough to take the names. So in this case, we can expand or increase the width of the column to accommodate its cell's contents. So to do this, just locate the column header and look for this the arrow that looks like a cross, and then double click and expand. So expand till you are satisfied with what you can see. We still need to expand some more. Expand. So this should be enough to accommodate all the names under column A. Also, you can see that this name, the header name for column E or title is encroaching into that of column F. So we also increase. Yeah, so this is enough. So everything looks in order now. So just like with other kinds of applications like this, you can also copy and paste data. You can copy and paste the content of a particular cell into another. Likewise, you can copy and cut into another cell. All these can be done in Microsoft Excel. There is a functionality called the autofill. So what the autofill does is it fills cell data or series of data in a worksheet into a selected range of cells. So if you want the same data copied into other cells, you only need to complete one cell. Let's demonstrate this to see how it works. Let's say we want to give a serial number for each of these students. Doing this would help us learn another functionality. So we already have the data we need, but we have to give them serial numbers, and these serial numbers are supposed to come before each student's name. So that means we have to insert a column before their names. So to do this, on column A, on the header of column A, just right click and insert. So it has inserted another column. This has now replaced the initial column A. The initial column A is now column B, and it has also altered every other data on the worksheet. Now onto the autofill feature. Let's give this first student the serial number S001. It will be so time consuming to keep going down an S002 and so on and so forth. And imagine that there are 1000 entries here. So if you are to type manually to the 1000 students, that will be a lot of work. So Excel has made it easy that you can just have the first two items in the series, and then it does autofill for you. So this is what it does. Just we have the 001 and the 002. So on the 002, locate the fill handle. If you look here, this small cross-like cursor is the fill handle. So all you need to do is to click and drag down, and it completes the series. Here we have it. So from 001 down to 16, the 16th student. This autofill feature can also be used for not only numbers, it can also be used for days of the week, for example. It can also be used for many different kinds of data. All you need to do is to fill in the first two cells in the series and then use the autofill feature to complete the rest. So we've already used a stone to kill two birds. We've seen how to use the autofill and then how to insert a column. The same way we inserted a row, we can insert the same way we inserted a column, you can insert a row. So let's say there is an omission between students 15 and student 16, or row 16 and row 17. You want to insert another row. So all you need to do is to click on the row under where you want to insert the new row. So we want the row between 15 and 16. So we're clicking on row 16, and then click on insert, and then a row goes in between 15 and 16, and that's how it goes. You can also choose to delete a row and delete a column, or a selection of rows and columns. Simply have to select the column and then hit the delete button. And you can also do all these through the different tools and groups we have on the ribbon, but then those are usually the longer ways of doing it. You can just do them using your keyboard. I mean, life is already hard as it is. You don't need to make it harder, so easy does it. So to further format our spreadsheet here, the header names we have are looking quite like the rest of the data, so we want to make them stand out, right? So we have to do some formatting on them. So we just have to click on this row where they are contained, and then format as we like. So we can choose to make the font bigger, let's say 12, and make the text bold. If you like, you can also give it a different color. So whatever kind of formatting you want to do, you just have to select the row and then make the formatting. So because we increased the font size, some entries need to be accommodated, so increase the width once more. And then Excel, in terms of alignment, letters or alphabets in Excel are left aligned. So if you look at the name column and also the status column, since they are alphabets, since these entries are contain alphabets, they have been aligned to the left. And then also likewise the serial numbers. S is an alphabet, starts with an alphabet, even though it's a numbering system, so it's also left aligned. But then notice cells that contain numbers. Numbers in cells are right aligned by default in Excel, but you can also change alignment as you like. You can make the contents of your cell center aligned. You can make them all left aligned. It all depends on what you want. So let's say we want to also make the numbers left aligned like the names. So all we need to do is to make our selections, and then we've done the selection of the cells whose alignments we want to change. And right click on format cells, and then under alignment we want it to be left aligned just like the name. So choose left align and click on OK. So if you look, you see that every of the cells are now left aligned. This is just for organization. You can choose to leave it in any kind of alignment that you choose. So there are a whole lot of functionalities that can be explored in Microsoft Excel. Like I said, a video cannot completely showcase all the functionalities. So this is where we stop for this part. The next part is going to look at performing calculations and then using the formulas in Excel and then linking worksheets and so on and so forth. This brings us to the end of this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to leave your questions in the comment section and we'll be happy to get back to you. Also remember to like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't.